Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves ripped slugs. It's Frank. How are you today?
Boshuda.
Boshuda.
You know, it's funny. I was planning on saying Boshuda no matter what your opener was, and it just happens to have
Excellent
to have landed. So there you
I
go.
was going to go with like a Dajaric opening or something like that. Man who loves to play games with rules like Dajaric. It's Frank, you know. But
It's the Jarek with Din Djarin.
yeah, it's just so many D's. I was afraid I wasn't going to get Dajaric out correctly, and we'd have to start over again. So I opted for Roided Hutt instead.
Yep.
I'm actually glad I did. I'm glad that's how we ended up.
Yeah. You know, here we are. Here we find ourselves, and I'm glad to be here with you. What are you sipping on something today?
So I am sipping on a Vieille Provision, a Saison Dupont from the Belgian Farmhouse ale. It is brewed in Belgium. But Frank, I knew you were gonna have your Star Wars glass tonight, right?
Yes.
You have one of your Star Wars glasses. There's only one Star Wars glass in my house, but I wanted to be like you. So I grabbed my daughter's Star Wars cup.
Okay, so
It's got a big Yoda Star Wars on the front. It's got Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, C-3PO, R2-D2, and Yoda, and Chewbacca.
I think that's not true.
Yeah, all floating around. And so I'm gonna drink from her little cup.
Love this for you.
Me too.
Absolutely love this for you.
I really just wanted a Star Wars cup, and I didn't have one. I wanted to be like you.
Wow. Well,
what do you drink?
You know, it's not often that a Star Wars film is in theaters. So when there is a Star Wars movie in theaters, it's a time to celebrate, right? So I've got two beverages. I'm double fisting. I've got a beer, and then I've got a non-alcoholic beverage as well. For the beer, it's the last of my Sunday Sauce Italian Pills from Stoneface Brewing Company of New Hampshire. But I've been really enjoying. We had some folks over to the house a couple of weeks ago, so like did a big BJ's run and got a bunch of snacks and drinks and stuff, and so we got like a variety.
Thanks for the invite. Just kidding. I don't live near you.
It was just Mother's Day with my wife's family.
Thanks for the invite.
So we just had a variety pack of Canada Dry ginger ales, and the cherry fruit splash cherry ginger ale is amazing. I'm kind of addicted to it. I
dare say you're aging into your personality quite nicely.
Thank you very much. It's so darn, I mean, it's very sweet, like, but if you like cherry juice, it's basically what you're getting, a big old splash of cherry in your ginger ale, and it's just it's delightful. So what can I say?
When you say cherry juice, do you mean like the juice at the bottom of the cherry jar that I'd like put on a sundae, like that kind of cherry juice, or like
yeah
I do want that. Yes, you're right.
Not as thick and syrupy as that is, right? But
sure.
like but that flavor in your ginger ale.
I do want that for myself.
Yeah, it has ginger extract, cherry juice concentrate. So yeah. There you go.
This Farmhouse ale is good, by the way. I've never had it before.
I'm not a big Saison guy. It's not my favorite. I'm happy for
not
you.
very Saison-y, to be perfectly honest.
Huh. How is it different than a typical Saison in your estimation?
It doesn't taste like soap.
Okay, well that's a good start.
Yeah. It's leaning. It's not really sour the way that a Saison
Okay.
is.
Okay. Yeah.
I know things. We've been doing this a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as it's actually not sour at all. Actually, now that I say it,
Okay. Interesting.
it's leaning lager more than anything.
Really? So it's not even really tart?
Nope, I'm not finding it very tart. It's got like a hint, about a hint of tartness, but normally, a tart, oh, yep, I just took a drink. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not this one.
Oh, you know what? I'm taking a closer look at the bottle, and I think I've seen this. I wonder if I've had it, but I think I'm sure I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I needed a sixth to make my six.
Sure.
And I just didn't feel like the other ones that I had grabbed, so
Sure.
this kind of worked, and I'm
Nice.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because normally I don't love a Saison either, but I'm enjoying this one.
Oh, hey, you know what? Hey, you're right on, because it says Dupont uses Pilsner malt.
There, I almost said Pilsner. I was close, and
But yeah, no, you were in the right direction. Absolutely.
Pilsner, so
hey,
that's why I didn't
pat yourself on the back, because you know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. We've been doing this show long enough, and we've been studying beers for long enough that we you know what you're talking about, my friend.
Well, if there's one thing that we've been studying longer than beers, Frank, it's Star Wars.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's be serious here. Where we are unabashedly Star Wars fans. There's just no question about it. We're wearing Star Wars t-shirts. I'm also wearing a Star Wars hat because to be honest, I was too lazy to do my hair. So I'm hiding it under a hat that just happens to have the Rebel Alliance logo on it. But anyway, Frank, yeah, we're talking the first Star Wars movie in 7 years. 7 years on the big screen.
Yes, sir.
I have not felt that absence, to be perfectly frank with you, Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a weird. I mean, it's been a weird 7 years, hasn't it?
Sure. If you want to talk without Star Wars,
with or without Star Wars,
Yeah.
It's been a weird 7 years, and we've had Star Wars content, new Star Wars content every year, right? No, I can't.
Pretty much.
I think pretty much we've had a Tales of, or an Andor, or
a Vision. Say
exactly, yeah. Like I think we've had something.
So Mando.
Yep.
Yeah.
A Bad Batch. Like we've had something every year for the last 7 years, I think. So yeah, it's not like there hasn't been Star Wars available to us. But Mandalorian obviously being one of those, one of the big things there. But I didn't miss it because there is so much of it in the air. We're used to going decades between Star Wars on the big screen. So 7 years also by comparison doesn't feel that bad.
And I saw Phantom Menace during that time. I saw Revenge of the Sith during that time. Yeah, I did see Revenge of the Sith.
I saw Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Right. So, man, I don't have that locked in my memory at all. But so I haven't not seen Star Wars on the big screen. So, but but here we are back with Star Wars on the big screen.
Yep.
And blanketly, I really liked it.
I liked it. I really liked it.
I really liked it. It was a movie that was completely unchallenging.
It's true. It is true. It's a very nice, it's a really nice Star Wars movie. Like it's a really nice movie for when my kid's a little bit older and the some of the violence isn't so jarring for her. I think it'll actually be kind of a nice movie to watch together.
Absolutely. It screams family movie in some way.
In a lot of ways. It's
not a very loud or bombastic movie. In fact, it almost grinds to a halt in the middle of the movie.
Well, yeah.
Which is quite nice. I really enjoyed it. I felt that it felt to me like a James Bond movie. Actually,
I've heard this a lot, and I agree. I agree. It has a lot of James Bond.
Who's stealing my ideas? I don't know. I don't have social media, so I'm not looking at the.
As I was watching it, I actually kind of thought it has a lot of Indiana Jones.
Yes, it does have a lot of Indiana Jones. I felt more in like the in media res. He's on a previous mission.
Yes.
He goes back to base. He gets his new mission. He gets a new toy, and then he goes off to a series of 2 to 3 different locales that are all loosely strung together to form his main mission.
Which is why I was going with Indiana Jones too, because that's
also Indiana Jones.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same template, right? He's starting in media res, whether it's when he was a kid and he was River Phoenix or whatever. You know, so
Or
that's
running away from a boulder, or like whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got the Heart Club Obi-Wan. So
And that was it. I couldn't remember what Temple of Doom started with. Club Obi-Wan. That's right.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I
similar vibe.
I saw, or people, it was a little episodic, like
Yes.
there was the complaints that it was maybe a little too episodic, but I found that it was just a really clear 3-act structure or 5-act structure, really, if you look at it. Like I don't watch a James Bond movie and go, oh man, this is really episodic James Bond. Like, no, that's the format. You just roll with it. And
Yes, that's true.
I think it's just that we're used to watching Mando as a series of episodes.
Yes.
So your mind wants to break it up that way, and they did themselves a favor or disservice, either however you look at it, by following that obvious format.
Okay. I mean, in fairness, it does appear that this story came from what was supposed to be season 4 of the show.
No, it did not.
Well, but the thing is that the writing team on it, right, is Favreau, Filoni, and I forget the third person's name. I'll use a lookup. But that third person is, I think was the writer or one of the writers who was assigned to season 4.
I see that I did see in an interview with Favreau like a week before the movie came out, and he was pretty honest, and he said, like, I had basically already written season 4, and they said, let's do a movie. He says it's not as easy to take what you write for a TV show and turn it into a movie.
I did see that interview. Yes.
I just made a new story. Like, maybe it hit some of the same thematic beats he wanted to share, like, maybe the mortality and growing up, and what's the old adage where you aren't a man until your father dies, like that.
Sure.
Whole,
Yeah. That idea.
like until you learn how to do things for yourself. So I'm sure that's a bit of what he was doing in season 4, what he wanted to tell, but not particularly this story, because it is kind of a small story. It is one mission, this would have been an episode 2 or 3 within a larger
arc. I would call it an arc, right? This would have been a 3 or 4 episode arc.
Yeah.
If it were, if that's what it was. So that's what I'm wondering, if they had, maybe Favreau had, he didn't use the story, the season long story that he was going to use, but maybe an arc that was being worked on with this other person. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's something like that. It did have that sort of, the pacing of it was like every 20 minutes, another big set piece, another action sequence.
Sure.
So it did sort of have that, like the centerpiece of every episode. What would have been the centerpiece of every episode, right? If that's what it were.
Which I think it's actually how most movies are set up. We're just not,
I suppose, yeah.
We don't go from a TV show to a movie very often. We're not primed to think about the thing in front of us that way. But I mean, you watch the first Star Wars movie and it's set up that way too,
Sure. I mean, yes.
Here's your next piece. And then here, and so I'm not, like, I am not begrudging the Mandalorian and Grogu for following a tried and true movie format. If that, like, I wasn't expecting it to be the next wave of a saga of Star Wars films.
No, right. No, me neither. I think what I am circling here as I like think it through a bit more, because you're not wrong. I don't disagree with you, but I think the format itself is so. You know what it's been compared to one of the old movie serials, and it actually follows very much the same pacing as those did. And I think it might just be like a format that feels out of place, like feels anachronistic or something, feels out of place today. So like when you watch it in the context of its time, it's sort of like, sure, well, that was just the format, whatever. But I guess when I see it on the big screen today, I'm sort of like, ooh, this feels different. This feels like a little
Antiquated.
a bit, or in some ways,
or easy. I feel like in some ways,
easy.
But,
easy is probably a good way. Yeah.
I do think that there's a time crunch from when you're like, okay, you're making a season 4. Oh, just kidding, you're making a movie. Go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're like, okay, well, we can do some things, but there's definitely going to be a cobbled together feel to some of that.
Yes.
We're working within a limited time frame, but it's cobbled together in a way that, say, like Rise of Skywalker is definitely cobbled together.
Yeah.
Stick the landing. But I feel like Mandalorian and Grogu, like the movie sets out what it wanted to do.
Yep.
And does it well. Like it's a B movie in every sense.
Yes, that's right.
Like
that's right. Yeah.
It set out to be a B movie. The marketing flat out told you so. This is a Saturday morning Ray Harryhausen movie.
Sure.
Or serial, like, here you go. We're gonna have fun. And it was.
It was.
Yeah. No different. They said Indiana Jones, like an Indiana Jones format, which is also a Saturday morning serial.
It very much is, yes. Yeah. I think that's often, that a lot of the criticisms that were levied at the last 2 Indiana Jones films, I think stem from that same place, of like people not appreciating the format, in a lot of ways. I think a lot of the criticisms levied at the prequels is because like George was doing the Saturday morning thing like too good. It was like the dialogue is too derivative of Flash Gordon, to where it's like, okay, wait, we're supposed to be an elevated Flash Gordon, George.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
yeah. So yeah, maybe there's some of that. Maybe I'm guilty of some of that.
Me, you know what? We have a friend, Factor. This comic cooks and whatever. And he's
trusting the Force.
He's talked about Star Wars a lot. In his video, he talked about seeing it with his son, who at the end of the movie said, "Daddy, I loved that." Like that.
I'll put the link in the show notes to that.
Yeah, that was great, because it goes back to what George Lucas has always said, is that Star Wars is for kids. And so when they actually made a Star Wars movies that is really mostly for kids, I'd say the violence could probably have been taken down like a notch if you really wanted it to be for kids and not for everyone, like parents taking their kids to it and going, ooh, I kind of wish they hadn't shown them that just yet. But which, I mean, you could say about the first Star Wars movie too. I mean, let's be serious.
Yes,
There's a dismembered arm with blood pouring.
I would say back in its time, yes.
Yeah, so there's
sure.
Like Star Wars is violent, even if it is for kids. Yep. So, but I do think that like this movie is simplistic in the way that a kids movie is simplistic, because it wants kids to. It is meant for kids to get the messages that adults should already know. Like, there's nothing in Mandalorian and Grogu that like is a revelation to me as a viewer, because I'm almost 40, right? Like I'm good. I learned all of this. However, some of this is brand spanking new for a kid, who might have never seen any of the things that we talked about as influences to this. And so I can't begrudge Star Wars for targeting its main audience and like doing its main audience well, because I think companies like, say, like Pixar, which are technically for kid movies, but are sometimes more complex than kids could grapple with. Those movies are really more for adults those movies are really more for adults that are taking their kids to the movies a lot of times. The grander, heavier things. Like Toy
Yep.
Story 5 is coming out. My daughter wants to see it. She loves Toy Story, whatever. And I'm looking at this movie. Obviously, they're talking about how toys are dying in favor of screen time, and how that like the power of imagination is actually going away, and how it's a detriment to society, whatever. And she's gonna be like, Buzz, so funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not upset that the Mandalorian and Grogu was basically like, Grogu, so cute, Mando, so cool. Like, whatever. Yeah, because that's what the show is too. Like the show isn't making grand statements about anything either. It's just space western.
Yeah.
So like I just finished watching the first season today. Actually, I kind of went back and watched, and I was like, there's nothing. There's nothing like transformative about it. It's just good Star Wars, and so and good storytelling, and I think Mando and Grogu was both, so I was pretty pleased.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I have my quibbles with it, but to sit here and nitpick everything would be to overstate the criticisms. It was a really fun movie, and I really liked it. Like, and I again look forward to like watching it with my daughter when it's like age appropriate for her, because like it'll be a lot of fun.
I do find that the movie is actually more age appropriate than the TV show, which I think is part of where I went like this.
Thematically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think
even in the violence level, there's
depending on the episode, I guess. Yes.
Watching that first season again, and and then it's just there's a deep difference. But anyway, what are some things that you did like?
Oh, I mean, the all of the like, okay, you know what? I really like the practical effects. I really liked the stop motion animation that I was looking out for it, right? Because I knew that Phil Tippett was brought in to do like the stop motion stuff, to your point about Ray Harryhausen. And so I was looking out for it and really enjoyed it when I spotted it in a couple of places.
Where did you spot it? I wasn't looking for it, so
yeah, sure. I think it was done really subtly in a couple of places. I spotted it when the not ATSTs were I guess when the one with Mando and Grogu on it was going through that, was tumbling down that that stuff was, there were several shots that I could tell were that.
Really?
Yeah.
It was not. That's cool.
Yeah. Wow. There were a couple of those. I think there was it was a mix of some shots were CG and some were that. When oh shoot. Oh, you know what? When they were inside the AT-AT, there was, now I've forgotten, but there was a character, maybe a droid that looked to be stop motion to me from the way it was moving.
Nice. I love that.
Things.
Yeah. I gotta watch it again with that in mind, because I really wasn't watching with that at all. I was really just absorbing, I guess. And I had zero expectations. That's a big part of it. I was just kind of watched to watch.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Luke Skywalker to show up, or Ahsoka, or this character here, or whatever. I was just
I heard people say speculating that like, oh, what if any of those characters were to show up, and it certainly makes sense to think that they could do that, but I'm not particularly disappointed that they didn't. I'm actually really okay with the rare thing of like, this movie doesn't need to be interconnected with a whole other universe. Like, it can just be its own, like sure, you probably need to have watched the show to have some of the emotional stakes or whatever. But even so, even without it, like, they did a good job of, even if you don't have any of that context, like, it's pretty clear it's a father and son dynamic, and you kind of go from there, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure I did spy R2 though.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah, pretty sure. Just like when he goes to whatever that planet is, where the New Republic bases. Like, pretty sure
Yeah.
who's getting in or out of an X-wing.
That's what I was like, wait a second, that one looked, I saw like a red
Yep.
R2 unit just like him. And
Yep,
then
I saw the blue
yeah.
one.
And then
Yeah.
I was like, wait, that looks like him.
Yeah, and for my money, you don't show a blue R2 unit, and it's not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I don't think there can be lots of red ones, there can be lots of green ones, but if we're talking blue, then it's suddenly it's like no. There's but one.
yeah. What I really appreciated is that because we say character this, character that, but like Zeb is in it, obviously from Star Wars Rebels. And
Yes.
I did not feel like that was a gratuitous
Oh
insertion.
no, not at all.
He was just a character that
Yeah.
was there, and he happened to be alien. If you happen to have watched Rebels, you'll know that Zeb.
Yep.
And that's it.
Mhm.
Like, I guess I like the life goes on kind of mentality that they have, where it's not like, hey, remember when that thing happened? Remember that thing happened? Remember when that thing happened? Like,
Right.
it is very original trilogy that way. Like, go ahead and watch Empire Strikes Back. Do they mention the Death Star at all? They
Right.
sure don't. Like, they just that's the thing that happened in the past. We don't need to talk about it. And like, never once is Han Solo like, hey, I saved you from that, from that thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I saved you, like
Yeah.
nothing. They're just like, you don't have to have seen that to watch this. If you did, you get the flavor, but nobody's directly saying anything about anything that previously happened.
It's true.
I
like that. I do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Even by Return of the Jedi, no one's like, oh, Luke, remember that time Luke Skywalker blew up the first one? We got to make sure that this problem, this is not the same problem. Like, nope. You just keep going. And I like that as a model, because I'm sure that's entirely intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Every Star Wars might be somebody's first Star Wars, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I appreciate the work you have to do there, the delicate balance that there is in having to have it be accessible to people who haven't seen it if they're coming to a theater, right? If they were watching it on streaming, you might have more of an assumption that they've seen some of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking, yes, a big screen film, then you have to you can't have that assumption, and you have to thread that needle of like not having it be too simple for people who do know the show, but keeping it accessible to those who don't. And I think they did walk that line pretty well.
I think so. I mean, like, you don't even have to know who Jabba the Hutt is to.
No, you don't.
No, it's just like you get context, like, oh yeah, well, he probably was important or whatever, and you just move on.
Yep.
Which I like. You know what? I have not talked about it with anybody, but I loved that the mud hut that Grogu makes.
Yeah,
it's like Yoda's hut.
Yes.
Like, it's like a ingrained in him.
Well, it made me think maybe that's something their species
does,
right? Like, it's like burrowing, or or a beaver building a dam or whatever. Like,
I just loved that. I loved that he had his own little mission.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that it had stakes, but it was so cute.
I would argue this movie was really Grogu and the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, you could make that argument, absolutely, because he has more character growth than Din Djarin does.
Exactly. So in some ways, I do feel like it was his movie. It was Grogu's movie. And in that way, it sort of subverted my expectations. I didn't think they were going to do something like transformative with him in this film, and we kind of heard that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to have like some big milestone, like where he says a word or something, or but I was glad to see that, absent something like that he still got like a lot of time in the spotlight and got character growth and development. Got a lot of screen time apart from just cute antics.
Mm-hmm.
Him and the little Babu Fricks, I forgot the species name, but
Sal something.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they were great. which I love.
Salutations.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great. They were fun.
I think what I appreciated about this movie, so like we know that like a lot of the Mandalorian story is space western, but it's also like paladin influenced, right? His name is Din Paladin Djarin, right? You know, he wears his suit of or his shining metal of armor. He's literally a shining knight that shows up. But I did like you said it's Grogu's movie, but like eventually the squire, which is what Grogu is, eventually becomes the knight.
That's right.
And so, but the squire has to prove himself over several occasions that he is capable of knighthood. Like it's not just like you don't automatically become a knight just because you're a squire. And I guess I enjoyed seeing Grogu's heart more than anything. Like, you know, like how far he's willing to go and what he's capable of in great uncertainty. Because if you look at the show, I guess even starting back in Order 66, he's kind of been shepherded and like obviously like heals people and stuff and you know, but you know, so we know he's kind, but he's never really been on his own this way.
Exactly.
Before, and so I appreciated that as development, but it's funny that in his quest to like in his choosing, I shouldn't say his quest, like in his choosing to become either a Jedi or a Mandalorian, like he's still becoming a knight either way.
That's true. That is true.
Right. And he hasn't totally lost his Jedi training either. Right. You know, he meditates and he still uses the Force and all this stuff. So
and he's still very, very powerful with the Force, right?
Very. Yeah. Yeah, actually going back and watching season 1, I was like, wow, no, he's like really powerful. I hadn't really clocked it, I think, the first time I watched it, but he's stopping stuff that like it would take people their entire lives,
right,
you know, on a human scale to master.
I really do wonder if this species turns out to be called the Wills.
Oh, fascinating.
You know, like, or if somehow the Yoda species, like the reason why they're so naturally strong with the Force is because they are like really tapped into it at like a biological level.
I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, yeah, if midichlorians are the, you know,
right,
biological, so they just happen to, as a species, have a higher count,
right,
automatically. Yeah, it's very possible. That would be cool. Wonder how that would work with the Wills when they're brought up in Rogue One, because that's like a whole thing, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But why would you let that get in the way of a good theory?
I wouldn't, because I don't usually remember enough about what they say about Wills.
Obviously wrong. Why would that? You know,
I don't think it's wrong at all. I don't think we're ever going to know, and I'm okay with that.
No, I think you're right. I think I would actually be kind of disappointed if we did know. Keep that a mystery.
I like that the Star Wars universe just doesn't know. Like they just.
I do like that. I do like it's okay. It's okay to have some things be a little unknowable.
Right? Are they angels? You know, they live on the moons of
Iago. Yeah, they live on Iago. Yeah.
No, but you know they could be. They are very cute. You know, he said beautiful, but you know how the telephone game works.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He's a 9-year-old, you know.
He doesn't know things.
What do they know?
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything that stood out to you particularly in the film? Because I thought the planet designs stood out to me.
Oh, yeah.
It felt to me like we were kind of like back in the heyday of the Clone Wars. Like with real and the prequels, like really interesting planet designs that you are not just like sand,
right?
Sand.
One climate, yeah. I agreed. As much as it's a Favreau production, it really had like a lot of Filoni fingerprints on it. Filoni fingerprints, wow.
Good band name. Yeah. Country Western, obviously. But.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I love that he was wearing the hat.
Me too.
He was wearing the hat in his cameo.
Yeah. Actually, I had totally forgotten that squad of directors, which was like sitting at the table, they are actually the squad in the show too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally had forgotten that.
Yes, yeah.
They like come in and there's Rick and there's Deborah and whatever in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. Just kept going.
Yes. So great. So great.
Yeah. Fun fact: Filoni didn't put on a costume that day. That's just what he was wearing.
I mean, like, basically, right? Like, I don't think we'd seen it. We saw him in his X-wing cockpit, but I don't remember anyway seeing him outside of that context. So him sitting at the bar with the hat on, just
I don't know, but I love it.
floored me. But like, yeah, we saw. Yeah, Deborah Chow was there, and then Rick. Yeah. And what did you think of? How did you feel about Sigourney Weaver?
I thought she was just kind of there. Like, and I even like her performance was just kind of there. I mean, she's almost 80. So like I can't, she's 76, I think.
Okay.
And so like I guess I mean, I like Sigourney Weaver. She's a very, very good actress, but she just kind of felt like she was there to get a paycheck.
I was gonna say she phoned it in.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, she phoned it in, and truthfully, probably so did like I don't know. You name you name an old actor from any of the old English actors who've been in Star Wars. They were kind of all doing that too. Like Christopher Lee, we love his performance, but like, was that the hardest day of work in his life?
No, he did have way more to do though.
Oh, like, for sure. But
yeah, I don't know. I think, when she was first introduced, I felt that she was more into it. But by the time you got her in the cockpit, she was like, "Yeah, and why don't you go blow up that?"
I don't know, man. Even
right there,
even seeing her, even when she was sitting at the table with Din and Grogu, and like, keeping Grogu out of the snack thing, like even there, it's just sort of like she's just there. She's just saying her lines, sort of doing the minimum needed to do. Like, I don't like, no disrespect to her. I think she was just sort of like, I'm here because Disney gave me the money. It's cool to be in a Star Wars movie. Like, I get to check that one off my list too. And nothing really wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like her character has much to do or a story or anything. She's
right.
Literally just like anybody could have played that part.
She's M, right? Like,
right. Yeah, she's a mixture of M and Q in this case,
right. Yes.
Yeah. But she's just, but which I guess like I can understand, like sitting around a table and going, who would be a good M in Star Wars? Oh, Sigourney Weaver. Like, what a good idea.
That's a good one.
You're like, great. But I feel like it's almost like they were afraid to be like, could you give it a little bit more? You're like, little, but like, could you give me a little bit more? Even Harrison gave us more. He did Star Wars. No, like
even Harrison.
Yeah. But yeah. So truthfully, that was I wasn't expecting her to do anything more than she did. I wasn't expecting any kind of ragtag team up or be like, oh, when my best friend Princess Leia and I were like doing our thing, which I just I found her the weakest performance, and who would have ever thought that? And I was saying that with Sigourney Weaver in mind, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What about the twins? Did you like the Hutts?
And
Rhoda? Is it Rhoda?
Rada.
Yeah.
They were fine. They were cool. They were. I thought they were very interesting. Rada the Hutt is the same son of Jabba that we saw in the Clone Wars film.
Correct. That's why he was so chubby. And
yes.
Not right.
Yes. Yeah. Stinky.
That's right. Because that was Ahsoka's phase of giving everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Yeah. Sky guy.
So that was Stinky. Look how he grew up. I thought it was funny when they were like, he's had a growth spurt since this image was taken.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. It was interesting. I found it fascinating to have, like, he was in it a lot, and I was not expecting.
I didn't think he'd have that big a role. But Jeremy Allen White did a nice job.
He did, and I just wasn't expecting Hutt to have such a prominent role. So that's why, like, I think, like, every time it, like, you get where, like, oh yeah, it's like, it's kind of basic, and then but it does something like that, and you're like, well, that's new and interesting, and I had not experienced that previously. But I liked his fighting style. I love, like, the role he did.
Really, we really haven't seen Hutts being very mobile.
Nope.
Except for just sort of Jabba slithering around, right? And a couple of them slithering around. But we didn't see anything like that. The rolling and the sort of lunging and nothing like that have we seen before. Nor have we ever seen them speak English, speak basic.
Yep.
Which was a little strange for me at first, if I'm being honest.
Me too. It took me right out. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, I guess Jabba was just kind of a jerk. And
and we heard him say some English words like solo, okay, he can make the sounds.
Yep.
Right? Like,
he's just like, I'm freaking Jabba the Hutt. You're going to speak my language. Yeah, I'm not.
Right. It was like a respect thing and a kiss the ring thing. Yeah.
Which actually I like. Now I even liked even more.
For a gangster character, I like that. Yes. And it totally fits the profile of that kind of a warlord, a gang guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about Embo for you?
Wait, who?
The bounty hunter.
Which?
The guy with the signs. He goes to their house and is like, I want to take the kid.
Yeah.
Because he's a Clone Wars guy.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I don't remember all the names from the Clone Wars. I
only know because I know he was in this movie. Like I wouldn't have.
I was like, it's that one. The one with the hat. So good.
You can tell we're of a certain era of fan too, because there are people who was like,
what do you mean? Who's that? Yeah.
Right. Their main Star Wars is the Clone Wars. And
like, yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all good. This is something.
The Clone Wars was on in my 20s when I was sort of, a little not out of touch, but just not able to be as in touch as I was before.
No, well, truthfully, I went to the theater to see Stinky.
I did too.
And it was awful.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to watch this show. This movie was terrible.
Thing is, I thought the movie was kind of awful, but I still watched the show for the first for several seasons.
I did not. I didn't watch the show until I tried a couple of times and I just couldn't get into it. So it wasn't until season 7 came out that I was like, I'll go back and watch those 66 important episodes. Basically.
Right.
And then try again. And that worked for me, but
sure, yeah. When it's condensed a bit, right, and into sort of the most important arcs and stuff like that, it's great. And it did a lot of great world building and a lot of great moving different characters forward in their lore, and bridging gaps in lore. It did a lot of what kind of, when we talk about comics we really love, it did a lot of what Jeff Johns is really good at, for example, of bridging different continuities and bringing them together, harmonizing things. Filoni's really good at that.
He is really good at that.
Yeah. There's a certain kind of storyteller who has a talent for that, of seeing two disparate things and bringing them together and making it, harmonizing them really.
Yeah, I put this thing in the middle, then it all of a sudden it will actually make sense.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that effort for that. But there's maybe some fat that could have been trimmed, or some stuff that maybe doesn't appeal to us as adults, but was more for the kids who are watching it. Because let's remember, this show started on Cartoon Network. Right. So there is that too.
Yeah. Is there anything in this film that you had wished to see that you didn't get to?
In a no, not really. Um, I guess if there were, I would love to know. I would love some indication of are we getting ever a Mandalorian season 4?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I kind of had hoped for like a the Mandalorian will return thing, or a to keep it with the Bond theme, or some kind of like story thread left unresolved that like they could pick up in a future season, or even in a future like appearance by the character in another show. But they didn't really set anything up like that. They really kept it a pretty self-contained story, which again I kind of appreciate. That's actually kind of refreshing.
It's like
in a world where,
disappointing and refreshing all at the same time.
exactly, disappointing because like, oh man, I wanted more, but really on the whole refreshing in a world where everything is like, let's just keep our options open, let's just keep it open for a sequel just in case, blah blah blah. Like that sort of feels like that's been the prevailing MO for a long time now in Hollywood. And so it was kind of nice to be like, you know what, it's his own story, that's great, I love that.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
A couple of years ago, somebody in the Star Wars land was told that streaming is dead. Do you remember this? Yeah. And so just that the amount of money that goes into producing the show for a streaming service that people are already paying for does not ever really equal the amount of money they get back from the streaming service.
Right.
But making a movie for the same or cheaper, like really cheaper technically, than like it's already recouped its budget without marketing, which means that by the time it lands on video direct and streaming in whatever, it's a plus merchandising, it's a for-profit movie. Boom, it's done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much. What's interesting? This is at a time when we are really seeing major theatrical releases are only at the extremes, like only at the sort of the biggest. Everything is like the biggest epics, the biggest IP, biggest scale, everything. You don't see like low budget rom-coms on the big screen anymore. Those go straight to streaming. So you don't see, B movies really don't exist anymore except for on streaming. So you don't get a lot of that. But here is one where it is like, it is basically a B movie, but it comes from a prestigious pedigree, right?
Yep.
And so it's going to bring people to the theaters. Not no matter what, but it's going to bring a certain number of people to the theaters, and like they can kind of count on that, so they can make a sort of a B movie and be like, just come out for we'll promise you a good time. It'll be a good time. Are you going to be challenged? Are you going to be like, maybe not, but it'll be a good time. You can bring the family, spend a little bit too much money at the movies, and make some memories.
Yeah.
And that there is something about that that's actually not so bad, about like, oh, you know what, like this is a small to mid, sort of mid-budget movie in the scheme of things as they are today,
in the type of movie that they're making,
right? It was under 200 million, right? It was 160 or something. 165. That's compared to where Marvel movies are at this point, like that's not a lot, not a big gamble for Disney, with the level of marketing that they gave it and everything. That the fact that I think they must have had an inkling that this was going to be the reception of it, which is why I think it's the critical reception of it has been kind of 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, like people sort of in that range, right? Like it's fine, it's middle of the road, it's fine, it's good, I saw that like the Rotten Tomatoes like audience score is much higher, the average viewer is really enjoying it and liking it. And I think it's because that's more we're seeing more like it's more of a family audience that's been there to see it.
Right. And I say that like the modern critic or any critic really consumes so much. So much. So when they see something like this, when they say it's an obvious plot structure, here's the this, it's the this, it doesn't do anything particularly interesting. It just is a movie. They're gonna go, yeah, 7 out of 10. Because that's what it is. Not that it's bad. It's just, when I said to somebody recently, I said, like, listen, I'm a teacher. I read a lot of essays. So I could hand you an essay from a kid and you say, read that. And you're like, wow, this is really good. A high school kid wrote this or whatever. And go, yeah, it's okay. Because I've read 1,000 of them.
Right.
You've read one of them, so,
Sure.
So like my barometer for what is good is different than yours.
Yeah.
Because this is what I do for a living. Right. And so I think that films and critics are very similar. You see 50 movies a year, most of them of the same genre, or whatever. They see hundreds, if not thousands, by a year, and not all of them good, right? And so their barometer for what they're looking for in a film is different. And just because they're a critic doesn't mean they're a fan of everything that they watch.
That's right. Yes.
Either.
Yeah.
So, audience score for something like this is a little bit not trustworthy, but it just depends like what you're looking for.
We're grading on different things, right? Like ultimately, your average viewer is not grading on the same criteria that a critic is,
right?
And that's kind of what I was guilty of earlier when I was saying like, oh, the format feels out of place today. Like I think that's kind of what you just described is being like, oh, it's obvious plot structure, it's this, is that. Like that's kind of what I was expressing earlier. So like I'm first to say like I'm guilty of that myself.
Yeah. But I think that I guess it depends at the end when it's like that. Like, do you want Star Wars to feel familiar, or do you want it to break all the rules? Because I can say like this movie I think is better than the sequels, and it's better than Solo. I would say that The Last Jedi is a better made movie.
Yes.
More interesting film.
Yes. Yes.
I will probably rewatch this one before I watch any of those other 4.
Yeah. Probably same.
Right?
Probably same. Yeah.
Because I walked out thinking, I just saw a Star Wars movie. And it was good. I enjoyed it. There was nothing in this movie that angered me as a fan or as a film lover or anything. And I cannot say that about any of those other sequels and Solo. Force Awakens is derivative. Last Jedi takes too many swings that don't pay off. And Rise of Skywalker takes a whole different set of swings that don't pay off.
Sure.
And this movie, I think it knew what its job was way early, and I went in ready to have a good time with some characters that I already like, and that was it. And I left happy.
Yeah, I didn't have like, all right, let's go, blow me away expectations. I didn't come in with that kind of attitude, so I
never go in with that attitude. Now I do. I'm disappointed. Right?
Yeah.
This is the like we shouldn't watch the trailer stuff because
yeah.
I'm just gonna go in, just present to me whatever it is that you made. Me as an adult human, knowing full well that movies are really hard to make.
Yeah,
really hard to make, and you're gonna do your best here. And I'm either gonna like what you deliver or I'm not. The end.
And I liked it. So.
Good stuff. Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Just that you could find us in a few places on the internet. A couple of them being beerwithgeeks.com, where you can find the show notes. It's also available in all the good podcast apps. We'll see the links in the show notes. Like Overcast, it's my favorite.
It's my favorite too. It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. But it's also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube and all the podcast apps. And if you want to go and follow us and rate and review us in all the places, that would be very much appreciated. That's what I want to add to this conversation.
It was a good addition, Frank. I really appreciate the way you can do additions like that, like math. I don't know anything about math. Anyway, Frank, until next time, it is a pleasure to chat with you. So, cheers.